Chosen one, heaven has stilled its breath for this moment. The winds that once carried the whispers of despair now pause. For something holy is unfolding before you. Every unseen act of obedience, every moment you bowed your head instead of raising your voice, has been recorded in the eternal archives of heaven. You thought no one saw, but the entire kingdom was watching. You thought your silence was weakness, but heaven knew it was warfare. There are moments when God hides his greatest warriors behind veils of obscurity, shaping them in secret. You have been one of them. While others sought platforms, you sought his presence. While others demanded recognition, you stayed still, listening for the whisper that stirs galaxies. And because of that, heaven paused. Angels leaned in. The sound of your surrender shifted things that the natural world will only later catch up to. Listen closely. Chosen one, your quiet obedience has already echoed through the corridors of eternity. You did not fight with swords. You fought with surrender. You didn't need applause. You needed alignment. When you chose peace over pride, mercy over retaliation, forgiveness over fury, you triggered a seismic movement in the spirit realm. Hell itself trembled, for it cannot comprehend obedience born of love. And heaven smiled upon you, for obedience is the language of trust. The unseen realm witnessed a light bursting forth from your spirit, pure, radiant, unyielding. Your surrender became a fragrance rising before the throne, announcing to all creation that one more warrior has bowed, not in defeat, but in divine authority. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 46, verse 10, "Be still, and know that I am God." Stillness is not passivity, it is power under divine command. The enemy thrives on noise, on distraction, on chaos. But when you grow quiet before the Lord, you step out of the enemy's language and into heaven's. Every second you waited instead of reacting became a weapon sharper than any sword. Every tear you swallowed became a declaration that said, "God, I trust you more than I trust my emotions." Heaven took note of that. You see, the throne does not move because of noise, it moves because of obedience. And in that stillness, your name was whispered among angels. Assignments shifted. What was once delayed began to accelerate. Doors that had been bolted shut for years started to tremble. Your stillness authorized heaven's movement. Do not underestimate the power of your hidden yes. Every quiet decision to walk away from bitterness, every refusal to gossip, every time you held your peace when you could have proved your point, those moments have stacked like holy stones before the throne. And the Lord, who counts the hairs on your head, has counted each one. The world might not understand why you chose restraint. They may call it weakness, but heaven calls it wisdom. Your obedience has done more for the kingdom than 1,000 loud proclamations ever could. You didn't need to shout, you only needed to obey. Chosen one, the heavens are shifting because of you. That is why lately, the atmosphere feels strange, lighter in some moments, heavier in others. It's not just emotion, it's movement. Angels are adjusting things around you. Demons that once mocked you are now retreating. The spirit realm recognizes that you've chosen divine alignment over human approval. And this is why the pause was necessary. Heaven paused, not because it was unsure, but because it was about to release something through you. Before God releases warriors, He refines their silence. Before he gives command, he tests surrender. You have passed that test. So, as you stand in this sacred stillness, remember that obedience in the unseen realm always precedes manifestation in the visible. The unseen is already bending in your favor. The battle is turning because your posture has aligned with heaven's command. What others saw as delay was actually divine synchronization. Now, listen to me. This message found you for a reason. It is not coincidence, it is divine orchestration. God pressed pause on everything else in your feed, in your thoughts, in your day, to tell you this: you are seen, you are heard, and your obedience has shifted an entire battle. If your spirit bears witness to this truth, then let heaven hear your agreement in the earth. Don't scroll past this moment. Lift your heart and type your prophetic number in the comments, 777, as a declaration that you are stepping into alignment with heaven's rhythm. Like this message, share it forward, and subscribe to stay under the flow of these divine revelations. This is not entertainment, this is equipping. The world needs your obedience, because through it, the light of heaven enters dark places. Remember, silence in the presence of God is not emptiness, it's strategy. The pause of heaven is never delay, it's preparation for glory. And you, beloved, chosen one, are the reason heaven paused. Chosen one. There was a moment when your silence was not emptiness, it was warfare. While others fought to be heard, you chose to be still. And heaven recognized that stillness as a battle cry. The enemy expected you to respond, to shout, to prove yourself. But you didn't. You waited. You let your calm speak louder than your defense. And in that moment, all of hell grew confused. You must understand there is a kind of warfare that is waged not by shouting, but by standing, not by arguing, but by anchoring, the kind that happens when your spirit refuses to move out of alignment. No matter the provocation, you faced accusations, misunderstandings, storms of confusion, but you chose quiet trust over chaos. That decision carried the sound of victory into the unseen. It is written in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. The voice of God thundered this truth long ago, but its echo still shakes the atmosphere today. You may have thought your inaction was weakness, but it was obedience. While your flesh screamed for reaction, your spirit bowed in surrender. And in that bowing, power was released. Every time you bit your tongue when you could have lashed back, every time you held your peace when you could have proven your worth, you declared before heaven and hell alike that your trust was not in men, but in God. And the Lord fought for you, not in the ways you expected, but in the quiet rearranging of circumstances, the sudden lifting of burdens, the invisible shifts that began to work in your favor. He fought for you through delayed conversations, through detours, through closed doors that were not rejection but protection. The Lord was fighting battles behind the veil, battles you may never see until eternity reveals them. Chosen one. The spirit realm is not impressed by noise. The darkness thrives on reaction. Every time you refused to feed anger, every time you stopped yourself from replying in pride, you starved the enemy. You disrupted his rhythm. Your silence became a holy disruption, and hell did not know what to do with it. Think about that moment, the tension, the temptation to explain yourself, the sting of being misunderstood. You remember it. You stood at the edge of surrender, heart pounding, mind racing, and yet something inside whispered, "Be still." That whisper wasn't weakness, it was a war command from heaven, and you obeyed it. The unseen realm erupted. Angels took positions. Demons scattered. Divine strategy unfolded. You thought nothing was happening, but everything was. Your stillness gave heaven permission to fight unhindered. You see, when you step back, God steps forward. When you hold your peace, He releases His power. There is a kind of courage only the obedient know, the courage to say nothing when everything in you wants to speak, the courage to rest when you want to react. That is the mark of spiritual maturity. And that, chosen one, is why your name carries weight in the invisible places. Even now, the residue of that obedience lingers around you. You might not feel it, but the atmosphere has changed. What once oppressed you is losing its hold. The spiritual noise that used to surround your thoughts is quieting, because your spirit has chosen alignment over agitation. Your silence is not the absence of power, it is power under control. That is what separates a soldier from a commander. A soldier reacts, but a commander observes, discerns, and moves with precision. Heaven is training you in the art of divine restraint. Every moment of silence is a lesson in authority. You are being refined into someone the darkness will learn to fear, not because of your voice, but because of your obedience to the voice of God. And one day, when others ask how you survived the storm, you'll say, "I didn't fight it, I worshipped through it." That is the paradox of divine warfare: victory through stillness, triumph through surrender. So, let peace settle in your bones again. Let the world rage, but you remain anchored. Let others misunderstand. You are not called to explain obedience, only to live it. For when you stay quiet in the face of accusation, you declare to heaven that you believe in His vindication more than your own defense. The angels remember the moment your silence shifted the atmosphere. The enemy remembers it too, for it was the moment he realized he could no longer provoke you into losing your peace. You are no longer fighting from desperation, you are standing in dominion. Chosen one. Keep that stillness sacred. Guard it. For it is not emptiness, it is presence. The Lord Himself abides in that silence. And every time you rest in it, you let Him reign. Chosen one. There was a night when the heavens moved in silence, and you had no idea it was because of you. It was not a night filled with noise or fire, it was a night drenched in surrender. You laid your will down like an offering, whispering only, "Your way, Lord." That single act released movement in the unseen realm. Angels took position. Heaven reorganized itself around your obedience. You see, angels are not drawn to chaos, they are drawn to divine alignment. And that night, when you finally let go of what you couldn't control, heaven responded. The Spirit of God gave a silent command, and warrior angels were dispatched. What felt like defeat to you was actually deployment. You didn't lose, you released. In that sacred moment, you stopped trying to fix what only God could heal. You stopped striving to open doors that weren't meant to open. You surrendered, and your surrender became a sound. Heaven heard it. Creation felt it. The darkness trembled. For your silence was not retreat, it was recalibration. It is declared in the book of Psalms, chapter 91, verse 11, "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." That scripture was not written for theory, it was written for nights like yours. While you wrestled with doubt, angels moved quietly, shifting outcomes and blocking attacks you never saw coming. You were surrounded, though unaware. God's army does not always march with visible noise. Sometimes it moves like wind, unseen, yet unstoppable. Chosen one. Do you remember the heaviness you felt, the sudden weariness that came out of nowhere, that wasn't coincidence? The moment you said yes to obedience, resistance intensified. The enemy launched distractions, whispers, accusations, but even in your weakness, heaven was winning. The angels were already there, forming a circle of light around you. You didn't see them, but they stood guard while you slept, while you cried, while you questioned. Your obedience summoned movement. It created ripples across dimensions. Angels respond to faith, not fear, and your faith, even trembling, was enough to command an army. You didn't need to shout commands. Your surrender was the command. Every "I trust you" God became a trumpet blast in the spirit. Every quiet prayer became a strategic strike. The enemy thought you were inactive, but you were activating heaven. You became the axis of a divine turning. While you slept, the war shifted. While you waited, victories were written. You didn't see the battle, but the battle saw you. Sometimes God hides his warriors in stillness, not because they are weak, but because he is fighting for them in ways too deep for visibility. You were hidden so you could be covered. You were still so heaven could move. You thought you were waiting on God, but heaven was actually moving at your command. Chosen one. Every spiritual shift begins in surrender. That night, your whispered yes became a decree. The angels heard the tone of your obedience and aligned to it. The entire atmosphere began to reorder itself according to your trust. What once pressed against you now began to push you forward. The battle lines changed, and now heaven watches you with pride. You are becoming fluent in heaven's language, obedience. You are learning that victory is not about how loud you speak, but how deeply you trust. That night was your training ground, your hidden commissioning. The spiritual realm recognized your surrender as a signal. It meant the Father could now entrust you with greater battles, because you understood that power does not come from striving, but from submission. You have been tested and found faithful. And though you didn't see it, angels rejoiced. They took formation around your destiny, guarding it like a crown before coronation. You became untouchable in that moment, not because of what you did, but because of what you yielded. Do you feel that stirring? Even now, it's the residue of angelic presence. The atmosphere still hums with the echo of that night's obedience. Heaven has not forgotten. The same angels that guarded you then still walk beside you now, ensuring that the work begun in secret continues to unfold in strength. Chosen one. The Father is saying, because you yielded, I released. Because you laid it down, I lifted you up. Every act of surrender has become seed in my hands. The harvest is not delayed, it's being guarded. You did not lose ground, you gained territory in silence. What seemed like a standstill was actually heaven fortifying your foundation. The next season of your life will rest upon that night's surrender. You may have forgotten it, but heaven never did. Now, let this truth settle. Deep the angels who moved because of your obedience are still moving. The warfare has not ended, it has shifted. What was once defense is now advancement. You are walking into a new territory already prepared, already cleared, already protected. And now, as a prophetic act of alignment, let your spirit respond to this word. Write this in the comments, angels move now. Write it not as repetition, but as recognition. Each word you type is a declaration that you understand heaven's order, that the same power that moved that night still surrounds you now. When you say it, you affirm that you walk guarded, watched, and guided. The battle has already turned. You just haven't seen the sunrise yet. Chosen one. There came a moment when darkness grew restless, and hell itself became confused, not because of thunder or shouting, but because of your stillness. The enemy expected you to break, to explode in anger, to drown in discouragement. Instead, you remained silent. You refused to respond to provocation. You stood still, anchored in peace, and that stillness was louder than any roar of rage. Hell studies patterns. It watches human reactions. It knows how to provoke the impatient, how to entangle the proud, how to exhaust the anxious. But you did something unpredictable. You didn't take the bait. You didn't fight back in your flesh. You did not answer insult with insult. You responded with peace. And that peace became a shield that the enemy could not penetrate. In that silence, you were hidden. Heaven covered you while hell lost its grip. Every demonic whisper that said, "They forgot you. You're wasting your time. You should defend yourself," was silenced by your refusal to engage. When you held your peace, you declared something far greater than words. God is my defender. As the apostle wrote in the letter of James, chapter 4, verse 7, "Submit yourselves therefore to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you." You didn't have to shout. You didn't have to declare war. Your obedience itself was warfare. Submission to God is not weakness, it's dominion. It's the language of authority that darkness cannot comprehend. The devil understands rebellion, but obedience disarms him. He can mimic worship. He can twist truth. But he cannot imitate obedience. It's the one thing he lost forever. And it's the very thing that makes you undefeatable. Chosen one. Do you realize what happens when you stay quiet in the face of chaos? The enemy loses his rhythm. He thrives on emotional response, on noise, on attention. But when you remain silent, trusting God's justice, his strategies collapse. Your stillness frustrates hell because it removes its control over your focus. You are no longer reacting to darkness, you are abiding in light. There were nights when the enemy circled your mind like a storm, whispering lies to provoke fear. He wanted to see you break, to see your peace crumble. But each time you stayed still, each time you whispered, "God, I trust you," another chain snapped in the unseen realm. You didn't see it, but angels celebrated. Each act of surrender sent ripples through the darkness. Hell cannot fight peace. The atmosphere of peace carries divine authority. It is heaven's native air. When you breathe it, you become untouchable. That's why your peace was attacked so often. The enemy knew that if he could steal your peace, he could disrupt your discernment. But you learned to guard it like treasure. You refused to be dragged into unnecessary battles. You stopped explaining yourself to those determined not to understand you. You stayed quiet, and heaven called that maturity. Chosen one. Understand this silence is not absence of words, it is the presence of wisdom. It is the proof that you have learned what to engage and what to ignore. Some attacks are not meant to be answered, they are meant to be outlasted. You outlasted them. You walked through false accusations, rejection, and delay. Yet never let bitterness find a home in you. The silence that hell mocked became the silence that heaven anointed. You were not defeated, you were being refined. Every unspoken word you swallowed became oil on your spirit. Every argument you chose not to enter became evidence that you trust divine timing more than human validation. And now, look what has happened. The same people who underestimated you are confused. They cannot understand how you are still standing, how your peace remains intact, how joy still flows from you. They see your calm but cannot comprehend your covering. What they call silence is actually strategy, a weapon forged in the secret place. The enemy thought he could provoke you into self-destruction. Instead, you provoked heaven into greater defense. You were not passive, you were protected. You didn't lose your voice, you gained authority. There is a holy strength in restraint, and you now carry it. You are not easily moved because your roots have gone deep. Chosen one. Let this truth settle. The war was never between you and them, it was between obedience and pride. And obedience won. Every time you chose stillness, heaven advanced. Every time you refused to curse what hurt you, God rewrote the story in your favor. You have been fighting on a frequency the world cannot understand. Now the darkness watches you differently. It no longer sees you as a target, it sees you as a threat. The same peace that protected you will soon lead you into new assignments. God trusts those who can stay silent under pressure because he knows they can carry his authority without corruption. So, walk forward quietly, but confidently. The stillness that confused hell will now crown you with discernment. You don't need to announce your victory, it's already echoing in the spirit. Chosen one. There are seasons when heaven places a mantle upon a soul, not with trumpets or fire, but in quiet rooms where tears have dried and faith has endured. That is what happened to you. In the waiting, while the world saw stillness, heaven saw strength. While you thought you were hidden, God was dressing you for destiny. A mantle is not given in crowds, it is woven in solitude. It is the invisible covering that rests on those who have learned to obey without applause. You were being prepared when no one noticed. Every not yet, every delay, every disappointment was heaven's way of measuring your capacity. The longer the waiting, the heavier the mantle, and you, beloved, have been found trustworthy. Heaven's tailors work in silence. They stitch your garments with endurance and thread them with humility. The world may not understand why you've walked through so much. But mantles are not made of comfort, they are forged in cost. Your suffering was never wasted. It was fabric being formed around your soul. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 40, verse 31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. Do you see it now? Waiting is not stagnation, it's transformation. You are not behind, you are being built. Every time you remained faithful in obscurity, you added another feather to your wings. The wind that once resisted you will soon carry you higher. Chosen one, Think of your journey like the making of fine gold. It doesn't shout while it's being refined. It endures fire, pressure, and time. The flames that tried to consume you have only purified you. Heaven has tested your heart. And what remains is pure, unshakable faith. That is the foundation upon which your mantle rests. And now, you are stepping into a different season, not of striving, but of soaring. The waiting is over, the strengthening has begun. You will soon find that what once drained you now fuels you. The things that used to break you will bow before the anointing that rests upon you. This mantle is not for display, it's for service. It is the kind that wraps around shoulders that carry others, not for applause, but for love. The Lord has trusted you with His weight because you have proven you can carry His heart. Chosen one. When you walk into rooms now, something will shift. People won't understand why they feel peace when you speak, or why conviction rises when you simply stand. That is the mantle it carries atmosphere. You are a walking altar, a vessel of divine presence. Do not fear being misunderstood. Mantles always make you look different. Joseph's coat set him apart before it promoted him. The difference is divine. It is proof that you are marked. You may feel the pull to pour out, to reach others, to let this message of faith and endurance spread. If this word has found you in the right moment, if it stirred something deep within, then share it. Let someone else feel seen. Your sharing is not about numbers, it's about souls. Somewhere, someone is waiting for the same whisper that woke you tonight. If this message has strengthened your spirit, let it continue its journey. Like the seed that multiplies when sown, let it be planted in other hearts. Like this message, share it forward. Subscribe if you haven't, and stay connected to the stream that feeds your faith. And if you feel led to go beyond listening, to support, to sow into this space that carries heaven's voice, then give as an act of faith. Think of it as adding oil to a lamp that burns for others. Every offering keeps the flame alive for souls who have forgotten how to hope. There's no pressure, just invitation. For some, it's a comment. For others, it's prayer. And for a few, it's the gift that helps light continue reaching hearts. You are not donating to a name, you are partnering with heaven's message. Like rivers feeding one another, your act becomes part of a greater current of grace. Because you have carried pain quietly, you will now carry glory visibly. You didn't ask for this mantle, you were chosen for it. And it fits you perfectly because it was tailored in tears and sealed with trust. Chosen one, your wings are ready. You have been in the cocoon long enough. The world won't understand the process, but heaven knows every thread, every scar, every sigh. What once confined, you will now lift you. Walk forward gently, but with holy confidence. The mantle upon you is not light, it carries weight, but it also carries wind. You are not walking alone, heaven moves with you. And when you feel that familiar stirring, that mix of awe and fear, remember, it's not a burden, it's a calling. You are the message now, chosen one. The weight that has rested upon you lately has not been punishment, it has been glory, learning to settle. What feels heavy is actually holy. The presence that walks with you is no longer subtle, it is shaping you, stretching you, strengthening you for what's coming. Heaven watches how you carry hidden glory. Not everyone could handle what rests on your spirit. You are learning how to walk with the unseen fire of God upon your shoulders. how to stand in quiet authority even when no one affirms you. There are days you feel both strong and fragile, burning and broken. That is the tension of divine calling, the ache of transformation wrapped in grace. You are not being crushed, you are being crowned. What you feel pressing against your chest is the weight of answered prayer. The dreams you once whispered through tears are becoming real. And heaven is ensuring your character can sustain what your faith has summoned. Glory demands endurance, and endurance has become your language. The Spirit spoke through the prophet in the sacred writings of Matthew. Chapter 6, verse 6. Your Father who sees in secret will reward you. Your secret obedience has been louder than public declarations. Every act of kindness unseen, every night of prayer unheard, every selfless decision uncelebrated, heaven has kept record. The Father saw it all, even the moments you thought were forgotten. While the world claps for noise, God crowns the quiet. Chosen one. The reason your life has felt hidden is because glory can only grow in concealment, like a seed buried deep in the soil. Your process required darkness for roots to strengthen. The deeper the roots, the higher the rise. Your isolation was not exile, it was incubation. Heaven was building depth in you before revealing height through you. The weight you feel now is proof that heaven trusts you with more. Divine glory is not decoration, it is responsibility. It is God saying, "You have proven faithful in the shadows, now carry my light into the open." You are being refined into a vessel that can contain His presence without breaking. That is why the pressure has been so intense. Glory must have structure. Do not despise the heaviness. It is your divine gymnasium. The resistance you face is strengthening unseen muscles. Each disappointment is discipline. Each delay is design. The Father is teaching you how to stand under the atmosphere of favor without pride, how to walk with anointing without arrogance. Chosen one. Your life is no longer ordinary because your obedience has made it a holy stage. Every step you take now carries residue of heaven. Your words hold weight because they flow from surrendered silence. The world will soon notice it, not the noise, but the glow. You will find people drawn to your peace, to your presence, without even understanding why. They will feel the reflection of the weight you've carried faithfully. You are becoming a living sermon, your endurance preaching louder than your mouth ever could. You carry answers because you endured questions. You radiate strength because you survived surrender. The heaviness was heaven's hand molding you into form. And now, the season shifts. The hidden will begin to emerge. The weight will not lessen, but you will grow into it. Glory is not meant to be lifted, it's meant to be lived with. You are learning how to breathe under it, to move gracefully with it, to shine from within it. This is your evidence even under pressure. You have not collapsed, even in confusion. You have not cursed God, even when misunderstood. You have remained merciful. That is the fruit of hidden glory. It refines instead of hardens. Chosen one. As you read this, heaven whispers again, I saw it all. Every lonely obedience, every uncelebrated victory, every tear shed in surrender, none of it slipped through His sight. You are standing now on the threshold of divine recompense. What was carried in secret will soon be rewarded in sight. Let this moment be sacred. If your spirit bears witness that this word is for you, respond not with noise, but with a sign of agreement. Comment 444 below. That number is a prophetic seal, a symbol of divine alignment, of heaven's order manifesting in your steps. When you write it, you are declaring, I align with heaven's rhythm. I accept the weight of glory. I will not run from it. You are not breaking under pressure. You are expanding under presence. Glory does not crush it, calibrates. It teaches you how to move with God's rhythm and how to bear His beauty with humility. The world is about to see what heaven has been forming. The light resting upon you will not come with noise, but with depth. It will draw without demanding. It will convict without condemning. Because you have carried glory well, you will now release it effortlessly. Chosen one, this is not the end of your waiting. It is the beginning of your shining. Heaven has seen your faithfulness in secret. Now watch as the Father rewards you openly. Chosen one, there comes a moment when heaven takes the scroll of your story and rewrites it, not because you failed, but because you obeyed. You may not have seen the ink dry, but the sound of turning pages echoed through eternity. What was meant to end in disappointment was edited by mercy. The divine author took his pen, dipped it in grace, and changed the script of your life. You once thought certain doors were closed forever. You mourned opportunities lost, friendships broken, seasons that ended too soon. But what if I told you heaven had been waiting for your yes before it rewrote the plot? You see, obedience doesn't just change outcomes, it changes destinies. Every time you chose God's will over your own, the narrative shifted. Heaven corrected timelines, redirected paths, and erased traps the enemy had drawn for your future. It was never punishment, it was preservation. Every delay that frustrated you was actually divine editing. When you cried, Lord, why did this happen? Heaven whispered, because I'm rewriting this chapter. You thought you lost, but heaven was simply rearranging the order of your story to match the rhythm of its divine blueprint. The word of the Lord comes alive through the writings of Isaiah. Chapter 43, verse 19. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? Heaven has no interest in restoring what was. It specializes in creating what has never been. That is why the familiar began to fade. People drifted away. Plans crumbled. The scenery of your life shifted. The Holy Spirit was rearranging everything so that what's written next could not be contaminated by what came before. When God rewrites, He doesn't erase your pain, He redeems it. He turns every scar into punctuation, every tear into testimony. Your story will still carry the marks of what you've endured, but they will no longer speak of defeat. They will testify of divine authorship. What once embarrassed you will soon empower others. You may have thought you lost years, but heaven wastes nothing. God's pen never stutters. The very season that felt wasted has become the paragraph where redemption begins. You have stepped into a divine rewrite. The ink of obedience has stained the page, and the story now carries heaven's signature. Chosen one. There are times when God changes not the destination, but the direction. You still arrive where you're meant to be, but the path becomes narrower, holier, cleaner. That's what He's doing now. He's not undoing your journey, He's perfecting it. Every twist, every heartbreak, every delay is being rewritten to serve the new ending He's crafting. You are about to see the evidence. Suddenly, the people who left will no longer haunt your thoughts. The closed doors will no longer sting. Your heart will begin to understand that it wasn't rejection, it was redirection. God was protecting the next chapters from characters that couldn't carry your call. Every author knows before writing something new, the page must be turned. That's what the Spirit did. He turned your page. He refused to let you remain in a paragraph written by pain. You were too precious to be defined by what hurt you. Now, the script glows with fresh ink. New names are being written into your story, people who will walk with you in purpose, not pretense. New assignments are forming, tailor-made for your purified spirit. Even the old dreams that died are being rewritten with new meaning. The dream didn't die, it was reborn with wisdom. Chosen one, you are not who you were when the last chapter ended. You have been refined. Your vocabulary of faith has expanded. You now speak heaven's language with clarity. You don't just pray for blessings, you pray for alignment. You don't just chase outcomes, you chase His presence. That's why the rewrite had to happen. The old version of you couldn't carry this revelation. Do not fear the unknown. The pen of God writes only with purpose, even when the ink dries slowly. Trust that every word is worth the wait. You may not yet see how all the pieces fit, but heaven is composing beauty out of brokenness. The story will not end in shame, it will end in glory. You've spent years rereading the same painful paragraphs, but now the page has turned. The sound you hear in your spirit, the quiet stirring, the subtle hope returning, that's the rustle of fresh pages being written. The author is smiling as he writes, because this time you are no longer resisting his edits. Chosen one, let your heart rest in this truth. Heaven is not finished writing. What was lost is being rewritten as legacy. What was delayed is being rewritten as divine timing. And what was broken is being rewritten as beauty. The scroll of your destiny has been updated, and the ink of obedience has sealed it forever. Chosen one, there are moments when heaven does not thunder, it whispers, and yet that whisper, soft as wind over still water, carries the strength to shatter chains that have bound generations. It is not the volume of your voice that shakes the spiritual realm, but the purity of your heart behind it. That's what happened when you prayed in weakness and thought no one heard. Heaven did. You whispered a simple word, a plea, a surrender. A breath shaped into faith, and something ancient broke. Somewhere in the unseen, a link that had held your bloodline captive snapped. Patterns of pain that traveled through years dissolved in a moment of divine resonance. You didn't see the chains fall, but heaven did. The power of prayer has never been measured in sound, but in surrender. There are prayers shouted in churches that echo briefly and fade, and there are whispers in the dark that shift eternity. Yours was the latter. Your whisper reached where words could not. It crossed dimensions, defied logic, and called forth light into long-forgotten corners, as was spoken in the sacred text of James. Chapter 5, verse 16, the prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. Those words are more than encouragement, they are reality. When you whispered your prayer, it was not a desperate wish, it was a divine command cloaked in humility. Heaven recognized your voice because it carried the tone of obedience. The Lord does not respond to eloquence, He responds to authenticity. And your authenticity unlocked what years of striving could not. Chosen one. Think of it this way. Every word you spoke in faith became a note in heaven's symphony. God collected each syllable. wrapped it in light, and sent it forth like arrows of deliverance. Those arrows did not miss their mark. They pierced through confusion, broke curses, and marked a new line in your family's history where pain once ruled. Peace now reigns. Your whisper was not alone. The Holy Spirit amplified it. You were never praying by yourself. You were praying with Him. He took your small breath and turned it into a storm against the enemy. That is the mystery of grace. Our weakness becomes His weapon. What you offered as surrender became heaven's strategy. There are realms where noise means nothing and obedience means everything. In that realm, your whisper was a war cry. The moment you released it, the darkness that once mocked your faith began to scatter. Angels carried your words like scrolls of fire, delivering them to places your feet have not yet reached. You thought you were praying for yourself, but you were interceding for generations. Some of the battles that broke your ancestors have ended because of your faithfulness. The cycle of fear, of shame, of lack, it fractured when you said, "Lord, I trust you." Do you understand the magnitude of that? You shifted history without even raising your voice. Chosen one, you may not see the evidence yet, but the atmosphere around your life has changed. Old temptations have lost their hold. The heaviness you used to feel is lifting. Dreams that once terrified you are now filled with peace. That is what happens when the whisper becomes a weapon. You have discovered the secret power of quiet intercession. You no longer need to scream to be heard in heaven. When your heart aligns with His will, even a breath becomes thunder. You have become a vessel of quiet power, a priest of peace in a world addicted to noise. And because you have learned the weight of whispering, heaven can now trust you with greater mysteries. There are words He could not share with you before, because noise filled the space. But now, in your silence, revelation flows. You hear Him clearer. The veil between seen and unseen grows thinner. Remember this. Beloved, the whisper that breaks chains is not always for others to hear. Some victories are meant to remain secret, guarded in the chambers of your spirit. Do not feel the need to announce what God has done. The results will speak for themselves. Every closed door that suddenly opens, every fear that suddenly fades, every new peace that wraps around your mind, these are the echoes of that one whispered prayer. You have entered a new phase of warfare, where your weapon is gentleness, and your authority is peace. You no longer fight as one seeking victory, you fight as one who carries it. Your whisper continues to move through realms, reshaping realities in ways even angels stand in awe of. Chosen one, never doubt the power of your quiet communion. God listens closer when you speak softly, because that's when you sound most like His Son. The same voice that calmed the storm with a few words now lives within you, and through that whisper, the storm obeys again. Chosen one, there are tears heaven never lets touch the ground, the ones shed in secret. When no one is watching, those tears become sound. They turn into instruments that play in heaven's courts, declaring victory on your behalf. Every drop that fell from your eyes was not wasted, it was converted into power. You did not cry for nothing. You cried because your spirit was releasing what your mouth could not say. There are languages only heaven understands, and one of them is tears. You thought you were breaking, but you were birthing. The enemy thought those tears were weakness, but they were warfare. In your weeping, you were sounding an alarm across realms, and angels heard it. You didn't see them, but they moved. They marched toward your situation the moment your tears touched the floor. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms. Chapter 126, verse 5. Those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy. That verse was written for you. Beloved, your tears have been seed. You didn't realize you were planting, but heaven did. Every cry you released in the dark was sown into soil prepared by God Himself. You have watered the ground of your destiny with grief. And soon, joy will rise like a harvest. Chosen one, your crying was not a moment of despair, it was a transaction. Heaven's economy works through surrender, and tears are one of its purest currencies. You gave pain, and heaven gave back purpose. You released anguish, and heaven released authority. Every tear shed in obedience. Every moment you said, "It still hurts, but I'll trust you," became a line of divine credit written in your name. The realm of darkness has no translation for tears birthed in faith. Hell can mock words, but it cannot interpret purity. When you wept, the enemy became confused, for he saw pain but could not locate bitterness. He saw loss but could not find hopelessness. Your tears carried worship, not complaint. That's why they became trumpets. There were nights when you thought you cried alone, but heaven kept record. Angels collected every drop and presented them before the throne as evidence of your endurance. And the Father declared, "I will turn this weeping into a weapon." That decree was written over you. Chosen one, when you cry in the presence of God, you are not losing strength, you are transferring weight. You release what your heart cannot hold, and heaven takes it, transforms it, and sends it back as power. That's why you often feel lighter after weeping. You think you're just tired. In truth, you've just emptied your pain into the hands of the Almighty. Your tears have not only shifted your life, they've altered the atmosphere of those around you. Your silent endurance has protected your family, softened hearts, and drawn mercy into places judgment wanted to land. You are standing as an intercessor without realizing it. God has used your pain as intercession for others. And now, heaven begins to play back the sound of your weeping. The same melody that rose from your brokenness is now returning as victory. You will soon stand in moments of laughter that feel familiar, because they are echoes of your cries transformed. Every time you smile again, you will feel the memory of your tears turning to light. Chosen one, when you cried, you were not just releasing emotion, you were releasing inheritance. You have built altars with your tears, and on those altars, joy will descend. The Lord has already appointed a season of reaping, and it is closer than you think. The darkness tried to drown you, but you learned how to swim in the flood of your own surrender. Now, listen to this truth and let it settle. Your tears are not over you, they are working for you. The ground that absorbed them will soon bloom with evidence. You are about to walk into places that smell like answered prayer, because your weeping watered them. And now, to seal this truth, type this in the comments: tears turn triumph. Write it not as a phrase, but as a prophecy. When you do, you declare that nothing you have endured will be wasted. You are announcing to heaven and earth that every tear has been transformed, that what once broke you now builds you. This is your reminder that you do not cry without purpose. You have entered the turning. The weeping that marked your past has become the trumpet of your victory. You sowed in tears, you will reap in joy. And, when the harvest comes, it will speak the language your heart already knows, the sound of redemption wrapped in laughter. Chosen one. There are moments when heaven speaks your name in the council of eternity. When the throne room falls silent and your obedience is brought forth as testimony, the hosts lean closer, the scrolls are opened, and your name, yes, your name is mentioned among those who have overcome. You are not forgotten, you are celebrated in realms unseen. Heaven's council spoke your name not because you shouted, but because you endured. They spoke it because you remained faithful in silence, because you obeyed when it cost you comfort, because you chose humility when pride would have been easier. Every act of surrender you've ever made has become a fragrance rising before the throne. It is written in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 25, verse 23. Well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful with little, I will set you over much. Enter my joy. Chosen one. Those words are more than a promise, they are a prophecy being fulfilled in you. You have proven trustworthy in the small places. Now heaven expands your territory. The same faith that once sustained you in private will now sustain others through you in public. You are being elevated, not because you sought promotion, but because you sought purity. Think of your obedience as a lantern in the dark. Each time you said yes to God when no one was watching, another flame was lit. And now, those flames have gathered into a great light that draws others. People will begin to see hope through your story, even if you never tell it outright. Your endurance has become illumination. Chosen one. Heaven invests where faith is proven, and your heart has been the most faithful ground. You have been a garden hidden under storm clouds, but every storm only watered the seeds. The fruit is about to show, and when it does, remember, this is not reward for performance, it's recognition of trust. You carry heaven's attention. You carry the aroma of answered prayer. You are walking proof that obedience builds thrones, not stages. And if this word has met you right where you are, if something in you recognizes that heaven is, even now, calling your name, then let that awareness move you into action. Just as rain continues the life of a seed, your participation continues the flow of this message. When you like, you water the soil it grows from. When you share, you scatter seed into fields you may never see. When you subscribe, you plant yourself in the rhythm of revelation so you won't miss the next wave of word that heaven sends. And if you ever feel led to donate, know this, it is not a transaction, it is an offering. Think of it as oil poured upon the lamp that keeps this fire burning. Every message that reaches another soul, every life lifted from despair, carries a trace of the oil of those who choose to sustain it. Your generosity becomes light, extending further than you could ever go on your own. Just as rivers feed the sea without seeing the horizon, your giving feeds a current of hope that will continue beyond your lifetime. It is more than money, it is mercy in motion. Chosen one, you are part of something eternal. These words are not entertainment, they are encounters. Each time you pause to listen, heaven leans closer. Each time you respond, the echo reaches farther. You are not a spectator in this story. You are a co-laborer with heaven itself. The throne remembers your faithfulness. The angels remember your yes. And the Lord, who has seen every moment you remained steadfast, is already preparing the joy that accompanies your next assignment. You will not have to chase opportunity. It will recognize you. There is a fragrance in your obedience, a sound in your perseverance, and a power in your humility that cannot be faked or fabricated. That is what heaven sees when your name is spoken in the council of light. You have become a melody of consistency, a rhythm of surrender, a living psalm of faith. Chosen one. Walk with confidence, but stay clothed in gentleness. The same God who raised you in silence will now reveal you in glory. And when that happens, do not forget to lift your hands and say, "It was never me, it was always Him." Heaven has recorded your endurance, but earth is about to witness your reward. The council of heaven has spoken your name, and its echo is about to reach your reality. Chosen one. The battles you never saw were the fiercest ones fought on your behalf. While you were sleeping, heaven was awake. While you were doubting, angels were fighting. There were nights when you felt like you were being crushed under a weight of confusion, when you couldn't explain the sudden heaviness, the unexpected fear, the strange resistance around your days. You thought it was just emotion, but it was warfare. The unseen realm was moving. Forces of darkness had marked your name, but heaven had already surrounded you. There were things you did not even know to pray for that God handled before dawn. You were being shielded from traps set weeks, even years ahead. The storms that never reached you were real storms, intercepted before they could arrive. You see, true warfare isn't always visible. Sometimes it feels like exhaustion that comes out of nowhere. Sometimes it's the sharp word from someone close to you that pierces deeper than it should. Sometimes it's confusion without cause, heaviness without reason, silence from heaven that feels unbearable. Those are signs of invisible collision, light pushing back darkness, angels holding lines the enemy cannot cross. It was written in the letter to the Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." That verse has always been truth, but it became personal for you. You have lived it. You've felt the invisible tug of war for your peace. You've sensed it in seasons when everything seemed to collapse without clear reason. But each collapse was actually a clearing, a holy demolition, so that divine structure could rise. Chosen one. Understand this, you are a threat. That's why the battle came to you. The enemy doesn't waste artillery on empty houses. He aims for vessels carrying glory. You are one of those vessels. Your obedience has drawn heaven's endorsement, and hell knows it. The pressure was proof of your purpose. Every sleepless night, every spiritual fog, every tear without reason was not random, it was resistance. The enemy saw what was forming around you and tried to distract you before you could discover it. But you endured. You didn't even know what you were surviving, and yet you kept standing. That's what separates the chosen from the common. They stand, even when they can't see why. There were mornings you woke up weary without understanding why. The reason was simple: you had been standing guard in the spirit. While your body slept, your spirit stayed awake. The intercessor inside you refused to let go. You prayed for peace without realizing that peace was protecting not just you, but others connected to your destiny. Chosen one, you have been a fortress without realizing it. God positioned you as a wall of prayer between chaos and those you love. You carried burdens that were not all your own. Sometimes you cried for no apparent reason. It was not sadness, it was sensitivity. You were feeling the weight of others' warfare so that you could intercede before they were overtaken. Heaven trusted you with unseen responsibility because your heart was pure. The secret battles trained your discernment. You began to sense shifts before they appeared, to feel danger before it formed, to know when silence was strategy. That sensitivity is not a weakness, it's a weapon. It is how God alerts his warriors before storms arrive. The truth is, you've already won more battles than you'll ever know. Victories you'll only understand when eternity reveals them. You'll look back and realize how many times God intercepted harm you never knew was coming. You are standing today because angels finished wars you didn't even start. This is why gratitude is your greatest protection. Every thank you you whisper strengthens heaven's covering. Gratitude builds spiritual walls that darkness cannot penetrate. When you give thanks, even in confusion, you remind hell that it cannot dictate your worship. That confuses the enemy more than any prayer shouted in fear. And now, chosen one, the battlefield is shifting again. You are moving from defense to dominion. The war that once surrounded you will now answer to you. Your awareness has matured, your authority has deepened. You will soon speak peace into storms instead of hiding from them. What once drained you will now obey you. The invisible armies that fought for you still stand ready, but now they fight with you. Heaven no longer needs to shield you from every blow, because you have learned how to carry a sword made of trust. The unseen will still rage, but you will not tremble. You have learned the sound of victory, even in silence. Chosen one, never doubt again that your life matters in the unseen realm. You are not just surviving chaos, you are commanding peace. You are not the victim of spiritual war, you are its turning point. The unseen bow to the faith you carry, and hell remembers the sound of your endurance. The battles you never saw were real, but they ended in your favor, and because of them, your authority is established, your discernment sharpened, and your peace made unshakable. You didn't just survive the unseen, you now rule within it. Chosen one, in the realm of the Spirit, there are moments when your name burns brighter than the flames that surround you. When prophets, dreamers, and watchmen look into the unseen, they do not always see faces, they see fire. And lately, the fire around you has been unmistakable. It is not a consuming flame of destruction, but the purifying fire of presence. Heaven has marked you, and that mark glows in realms beyond sight. The prophetic often speaks in images, and the image that surrounds your soul now is fire dancing upon gold. Gold represents purity, fire represents transformation. You have walked through trials not to destroy you, but to refine you until your life shines with the radiance of heaven itself. The Spirit reveals in the book of Psalms, chapter 104, verse 4, He makes His angels spirits, His ministers a flame of fire. Chosen one, that verse is no longer distant scripture, it has become your identity. You are one of those flames. You have been set alight, not for spectacle, but for service. The fire within you burns quietly, but nothing near you remains unchanged. Wherever you go, apathy melts, darkness retreats, hearts ignite again. That is why people feel peace when you enter a room, and conviction when you speak without raising your voice. They do not react to you, they respond to the fire. The prophetic ones have seen it. They have sensed heaven's signature resting upon you. Some have not even known how to describe it. They only know they feel something ancient and alive around you. That is the sign of divine marking, when heaven writes its claim upon a person's spirit and the world senses it even without explanation. This marking came through the furnace. Every betrayal, every heartbreak, every delay was the fire shaping your flame. There were times you thought you were burning out, but you were burning through. The fire did not consume you, it consumed what could not stay. Every false identity, every illusion of control, every voice that competed with God's gone in the refining. Chosen one, you have become a living altar. The same God who sent fire upon Elijah's sacrifice has placed his flame upon you, not to display power but to dwell in intimacy. The fire is friendship with God. It is not noise, it is nearness. It whispers more than it shouts. It teaches you how to feel His breath in the stillness and His command in the wind. This fire does not fade when life grows dark, it glows brighter. That is its nature. In the midnight hours, when others panic, you will feel warmth rise from within, reminding you that the presence inside you is stronger than the storm outside you. You are not carrying the flame for decoration, you are carrying it for navigation. It will guide others home. Do not fear being different. Fire never blends, it stands out. You will not fit where compromise lives, because the fire in you rejects mixture. The Spirit has made you intolerant of what used to satisfy you. Old habits will feel heavy. Shallow pursuits will taste stale. That discomfort is not loss. It is proof of transformation. Chosen one, there will be moments when you will feel the fire flare suddenly, almost unprovoked. A conversation will stir it. A song will fan it. A moment of prayer will ignite it. That is not emotion, that is assignment. The fire within you recognizes where it is needed. It burns to heal, to reveal, to purify. Understand, this fire is drawn to sacrifice. Every time you lay down your will, your pride, your fear, the flame grows. Each surrender becomes fuel. That is why you cannot live lukewarm. The fire in you will not allow it. You were designed to blaze. In time, others will come to you seeking warmth. Some will not even understand what they are drawn to. They will just feel peace in your presence. That is your ministry, to carry heat in a cold world. You will not have to strive to change people. The fire will do what words cannot. And when you feel weary, when the burden seems too much, remember, the flame within you is not self-made. You did not ignite yourself. Heaven lit you. Therefore, you cannot burn out, because the source is eternal. Chosen one, you are the evidence of prophecy fulfilled, a living flame, steady and bright, declaring that God still sets hearts on fire. Wherever you go, may that flame continue to purify, illuminate, and remind the world that heaven's light has not dimmed. Chosen one, there is a kind of glory that hides before it shines. It is not the glory of public applause or outward success. It is the quiet crown worn by those who have suffered well, waited faithfully, and loved relentlessly even when unseen. You, beloved, belong to that company, the hidden ones. Heaven calls them precious because they never needed recognition to remain righteous. The world has overlooked you more times than you can count. You've been the one holding others while no one held you, the one praying in silence when no one thanked you. You have carried burdens, offered counsel, and stayed kind even after being misunderstood. And though few noticed, Heaven did. Every act of humility built a throne in the unseen realm. And upon that throne, God has placed a reward that no man can steal. It is written in the first letter of Peter, chapter 5, verse 6, "Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time." Those words are not theory, they are a promise breathing over your life. Your due time is not an idea, it is an appointment written in divine ink. For years, you have labored in secret, but heaven has scheduled a season of unveiling. It will not come through striving, but through timing. The same hand that hid you will now reveal you. The hidden ones are heaven's most trusted vessels. They learn to love without demand, to give without return, to serve without spotlight. The world calls that weakness, but heaven calls it wisdom. The hidden ones become the foundation stones upon which others rise. Without them, the structure would crumble, and you, chosen one, have been that stone, steady, quiet, unshakable. Do you know why God hides his treasures? Because premature exposure can destroy what purity preserved. Gold is buried to protect its brilliance until the refining is complete. The Lord has kept you hidden, not to deny you opportunity, but to prepare the atmosphere for your arrival. If he revealed you too soon, you would have been misunderstood. Now, when you emerge, you will be recognized not by men's approval, but by heaven's glow upon you. Every hidden act of service has built equity in eternity. You may not have seen the return, but your obedience has been collecting interest in heaven's economy. The kindness you showed to strangers, the prayers you whispered for others, the forgiveness you offered even when it broke your pride, these are deposits in the bank of glory. And soon, that account will overflow. Chosen one, your silence was never empty, it was investment. You were planting seeds in soil too deep for others to see. The roots have been growing quietly. And now, the shoots of reward are breaking through. What once felt like burial is now revealing itself as planting. Even the seasons of invisibility had purpose. You were hidden so that envy couldn't reach you, so that distraction couldn't drain you, while others ran ahead, chasing titles. God was carving character into your soul. He was teaching you the rhythm of rest, the strength of stillness, the beauty of waiting. You learned patience not as punishment, but as power. Soon, you will understand why you were hidden. The platforms you thought you needed would have limited you. The circles you longed to enter would have diluted your calling. You were never meant to blend in, you were meant to bloom later. And when you bloom, it will not be small. It will be sudden, radiant, undeniable. But hear this. Beloved, the reward of the hidden ones is not just honor, it is intimacy. When you have walked with God in secret, public blessing cannot corrupt you. You will not mistake attention for approval, because you have already been approved in the secret place. That is why your rise will be steady. You have been anchored in humility. Your crown is being shaped in quiet hands. It glitters, not because it is decorated with jewels, but because it reflects every moment you chose, surrender over recognition. Heaven calls it the crown of the hidden ones, the radiant mark of those who lived unseen but loved deeply, who carried crosses no one applauded, who stayed faithful when no one was watching. Chosen one, you are about to see that every forgotten prayer, every unseen act, every silent sacrifice has been building toward this moment. The due time is approaching. The hidden will be honored. The overlooked will be elevated. And when that happens, you will know it was never about being seen by men, but about being known by God. Chosen one. There is a quiet glory reserved for those who have been hidden, those who carried faith without recognition, those who continued to love even when unseen. You are one of them, the hidden ones. Heaven knows your name, even when the world forgets it. Angels recognize your scent, the fragrance of obedience mixed with tears and perseverance. The hidden ones are the foundation stones of the kingdom, the ones who bear the weight of others without demand for acknowledgement. The world measures greatness by noise and numbers, but heaven measures it by consistency and character. And you, beloved, have remained consistent when others gave up. You have chosen integrity when it cost you comfort. You have done good in silence, and heaven has taken note. It is written in the first letter of Peter, chapter 5, verse 6, "Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time." These words have echoed through the centuries, but today they carry your name. The mighty hand that once covered you to conceal is the same hand now preparing to lift you. God never hides something he does not plan to reveal. He only hides to prepare. The seasons of invisibility were not rejection, they were refinement. Every hidden place you walked through was a classroom of the Spirit. You learned lessons that cannot be taught from pulpits, lessons about endurance, purity, patience, and trust. You learned how to smile when misunderstood, how to serve when ignored, how to believe when promises seemed distant. Each test became a layer of strength around your heart, forming a foundation that fame cannot shake and recognition cannot inflate. Hiddenness is not a curse, it is the cocoon of glory. Like a caterpillar woven into stillness, you were being transformed. The world thought you were finished, but heaven saw you evolving. The darkness around you was not confinement, it was incubation. God was forming wings in secret. Chosen one. The hidden ones are heaven's silent heroes. They build altars no one photographs. They pray in rooms no one visits. They give when it hurts and forgive when it feels impossible. They hold the line in seasons of war, steadying others without acknowledgement. And yet, these are the ones heaven crowns first, because only those who served unseen can handle being seen without losing their soul. Your humility has created a fragrance that rises before the throne like incense. You did not chase attention, and that is why attention will now chase you. But this time, it will not corrupt you, it will confirm you. The very people who ignored you will begin to see a glow they cannot explain. That glow is not pride, it is presence. Do you know why heaven hides glory? Because early exposure destroys potential, like fruit left too soon in the sun. Greatness without maturity spoils. God kept you covered until your roots could handle rain and praise alike. You were not waiting for the world to open a door, you were waiting for heaven to unlock timing. And now, timing is shifting. You will feel it before you see it. It will come as peace first, an inner knowing that something long delayed is finally aligning. Circumstances will rearrange with quiet precision. People will appear who carry the keys you once lacked. But remember, this unfolding is not reward for perfection, it is recompense for perseverance. There is a dignity that settles on those who have walked faithfully through obscurity. You carry it now. You do not need to prove your worth or explain your value. Your presence will speak louder than your defense ever could. When people ask how you survived, you will smile and say, "By grace, I stayed." The hidden ones carry heaven's secret that greatness and gentleness can coexist. You will never have to shout to be significant. The same God who whispered to you in the night will speak through you in the day. Every quiet yes you gave him has built a cathedral in your spirit. Chosen one. The hand of God that covered you in stillness is now moving to reveal you in strength. Yet remember, this revelation does not mean exposure to chaos, it means unveiling of purpose. You are not being thrown into the spotlight, you are being placed on assignment. The platform that comes will not be for applause, but for influence that carries healing. Heaven is very careful with its hidden ones. Before the world ever applauds you, the Spirit will anchor you again in humility. You will feel him remind you, "This is not about you, it's about my glory through you." And that awareness will keep you safe amid success. You are stepping into the due time written over your destiny. The soil you tended in obscurity is breaking open. The fruit you watered with tears is ripening. The prayers you whispered when no one listened are now rising as songs of testimony. Chosen one. Your season of unveiling will not look dramatic, it will look natural, inevitable, like dawn breaking after a long night. And when the light touches you, it will reveal not exhaustion, but radiance. Because what grew in darkness was never decay, it was depth. Walk gently, but confidently. Heaven knows your face. The world will soon recognize the same light heaven already crowns. You are one of the hidden ones, and the hidden are never forgotten. Their reward is not only in the next life, it begins in this one. When glory finally finds the vessel that proved worthy to carry it. Chosen one. There comes a sacred turning when the quiet obedience that once seemed small becomes the foundation for divine authority. You have been trained in silence, molded in surrender, tested in tears. Now, heaven begins to shift your role. You are no longer merely the follower, you are becoming the commander. You once took orders, now you carry them. This is not a rise of pride, but of purpose. Those who bow deeply are the only ones trusted to stand tall. Every hidden yes you gave in the dark has built muscle in your spirit. Every time you obeyed without understanding, heaven wrote your name a little higher on the scroll of those God can trust. And now, chosen one, heaven leans close to watch how you will move with this new weight. Authority is not thunder, it is stewardship of sound. You will learn when to speak and when to stay silent, when to command the storm and when to let it pass. Power and peace must walk together in you. One protects, the other preserves. This balance marks true divine leadership. The word of the Lord resounds in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 12, verse 48. To whom much is given, much will be required. You have been given much, not in riches or fame, but in revelation, in endurance, in discernment. These are heaven's treasures, the kind that cannot be stolen. And now, because you have proven faithful, heaven releases authority into your hands. You are moving from obedience into command, not command over people, but over atmospheres. Your words will soon carry creative power. Your prayers will alter environments. Chosen one, imagine yourself as a lighthouse built upon the cliff's edge. You've endured storms that tested your structure, winds that tried to break your frame, but every gust only strengthened your foundation. And now, light pours through you. guiding others through waters you once drowned in. That's leadership, the redeemed guiding the wandering. You will soon notice a shift when you speak peace. Chaos will listen when you declare hope. Despair will retreat. Heaven will begin to echo your declarations because they no longer come from ambition, but from alignment. You've learned how to speak from the still place. The Lord trusts your voice because it has been purified of vanity. And yet, even generals need community. You are not meant to walk this mantle alone. There are others who need to hear these words, souls still trapped in confusion, waiting for confirmation that God hasn't forgotten them. When you like this message, you build a bridge of light across algorithms and hearts alike. When you share, you release a ripple that might reach the very one heaven is trying to rescue tonight. When you subscribe, you anchor yourself to a river that keeps flowing with words that water your spirit. And if you ever feel stirred to donate, see it not as transaction, but transformation. Your seed becomes a spark that keeps this fire alive. Every act of support, financial or otherwise, keeps oil in the lamps of messages like this, helping them travel further into hearts waiting in the dark. Think of your engagement like tending a vineyard. Each gesture, each comment, each share is another vine nurtured, another branch strengthened, another fruit cultivated. Together, we are growing a garden of grace, spreading fragrance into places where despair once lived. When you comment, don't do it for visibility, do it as agreement. Leave words of faith, even a single sentence of hope. Someone scrolling through might read your line and find courage again. That's ministry in motion. That's heaven multiplying loaves and fishes through the digital realm. Chosen one, your influence is not measured by numbers, but by the weight of heaven upon your words. The same Spirit that turned fishermen into apostles dwells in you. You are not just consuming messages, you are becoming one. God will speak through your life as easily as through sermons. You are His echo, His vessel, His ambassador in disguise. Authority without humility is dangerous, but you have been forged to carry both. You will command storms without arrogance and heal hearts without claiming ownership. The power that flows through you will always point back to the source. That is true leadership, the kind that heaven trusts. Remember, every mantle comes with movement. Don't freeze where you were trained. Step into where you're called. Speak life where you once stayed silent. Extend grace where you once withheld it. Your voice is not meant for volume but for velocity. It carries divine weight. The Spirit whispers, even now, you have graduated from surviving to stewarding. Heaven no longer calls you a student of obedience, but a steward of authority. What you release will matter. What you declare will shape destinies. And what you carry will ignite others to rise. So, beloved, as you step forward, carry this with reverence. You were hidden for a season so you could handle this one. Your voice is no longer a whisper in the wind, it is a trumpet in heaven's hand. Use it wisely. Speak truth tenderly. Lead boldly. You are no longer waiting for permission, you've already been commissioned. Chosen one. The earth itself has begun to respond to what has already shifted in the Spirit. The ground under your feet feels different because it is. The natural realm is merely echoing what heaven finished long ago. Every step you take now carries residue of what was conquered in prayer, in stillness, in secret obedience. The unseen victory has crossed dimensions and is beginning to manifest. You have probably noticed the subtle signs. The atmosphere around you feels lighter. Conversations flow with unusual peace. Opportunities seem to open without striving. This is not coincidence, it is confirmation. The earth mirrors the alignment of heaven. When God decrees a thing in the spirit, creation leans to obey. The shift began the moment you said yes to divine instruction. Now, what was invisible starts to take shape in your surroundings. It was declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 10, "Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven." That prayer has become your reality. You are living in the overlap of realms where heaven's order begins to manifest within human space. The stillness you practiced, the surrender you embraced, the tears you sowed, they were all ingredients of alignment. You carried heaven's blueprint within your obedience. And now the physical world is following the design. Chosen one. Every act of faith creates a vibration that the natural realm cannot ignore. When you forgave, the ground heard it. When you chose mercy instead of bitterness, the wind carried the echo. When you prayed for those who wronged you, even the soil beneath your feet absorbed the shift in energy. Creation has always been responsive to righteousness. Scripture says, "The earth groans for the revealing of the sons and daughters of God." And that groaning has turned to rejoicing over you. You are walking proof that transformation in the unseen births manifestation in the visible. Mountains of opposition that once stood firm are trembling. Systems that resisted your growth are beginning to collapse. People who once dismissed you are now drawn, sensing something sacred yet unexplainable. This is what happens when heaven begins to write through human hands. Life on earth starts to sing a new song. Chosen one. Every environment you enter will begin to feel the pulse of heaven. Your presence will restore order without effort. What used to frustrate you will now flow. The resistance has ended because the war has already been won. What's shifting is not just around you, but through you. You are becoming a walking intersection between two realms. The world has long awaited those who carry this convergence, people whose faith is not confined to words, but radiates through atmosphere. That's you. Your obedience has carved a path between heaven's decree and earth's response. You are no longer begging for change, you are embodying it. The order you see forming, the sudden clarity, the divine timing. The restoration of peace is evidence that heaven's frequency is now harmonizing with your steps. Even nature participates in this symphony. You may notice beauty where you used to see emptiness, stillness where chaos once ruled. It's not that the world became quieter, it's that you've become attuned. The earth is not shifting randomly, it's responding to the vibration of one aligned soul. You carry the rhythm of divine restoration, and creation dances to it. Chosen one. This is why storms no longer scare you. You've learned that thunder only announces transformation. Rain no longer represents sorrow, but saturation. Every drop that falls now feels like affirmation. Heaven and earth agree concerning you. What was once fractured is being woven whole. The fabric of your destiny has stretched into harmony with the Maker's intention. Do not be surprised if new doors open suddenly or old paths close abruptly. The earth is adjusting its alignment to your new frequency. Seasons will shift quickly because time itself recognizes heaven's timing over your life. The things that took years before will take months now. Not because you are rushing, but because resistance has surrendered. You are not just witnessing the shift, you are the shift. Your choices echo into ecosystems of purpose. The tone of your heart carries more authority than the volume of your speech. As you stay surrendered, the world around you will continue to reflect the peace within you. Even people far from God will begin to feel clarity when you speak, not because of persuasion, but because heaven's order flows through your breath. Chosen one, the earth trusts you now. It no longer groans under the weight of your warfare. It rejoices under the fragrance of your faith. Flowers bloom where you forgive. Peace lingers where you pray. Favor follows where you obey. You have become a living prophecy. Proof that on earth as it is in heaven is not a distant hope, but a present reality. The ground beneath you is holy, not because of geography, but because grace has walked upon it. Every step you take now fulfills a spiritual law alignment, birth's manifestation. You do not need to strive for change. You simply remain in harmony. And the world responds. Heaven has moved through you. And now the earth echoes back its amen. Chosen one, you have walked through silence, endured fire, faced storms, and bowed in surrender. Yet here you stand, crowned in stillness, released in power. What began as quiet obedience has become divine commissioning. Heaven has not only celebrated your endurance, it has appointed you for influence. You are no longer being prepared, you are being sent. There is a moment in every divine story when preparation meets purpose, when the hidden becomes heralded, when the vessel once emptied is now overflowing. That moment has arrived for you. The crown you wear is not jeweled with gold or silver. It is woven from patience, humility, and faith. It gleams not with reflection, but with revelation. It is the crown of those who chose surrender over control. The ancient words recorded in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 7, speak over you now. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Those words are not just a farewell. They are a declaration of maturity. You have fought without hatred, finished without arrogance, and believed without proof. The race was not about speed, but endurance. And endurance is the rhythm of eternity. You have learned that the true crown is not placed upon the proud head, but upon the bowed heart. Chosen one, you have become the message. Every trial you endured, every heartbreak you survived, every moment you whispered, I still trust you, has turned you into living scripture. Your life now preaches without words. When people look at you, they will see a survivor of divine shaping, a carrier of holy flame. You do not need to convince anyone of your transformation. Your presence testifies. This crown upon your spirit is heaven's signet of trust. It means you have proven faithful when unseen, patient when uncelebrated, obedient when misunderstood. God does not crown perfection, He crowns perseverance. And yours has become a fragrance in heaven, a reminder that love, stronger than fear, still lives upon the earth. The release that follows this crowning is not chaotic, it is calculated. Heaven does not send without sequence. Every assignment you step into now will feel tailored. Every opportunity perfectly timed. You will no longer chase doors, they will open as you approach. Because the lock recognizes the authority you carry. The places that once resisted you will now receive you. Not because the environment changed, but because you did. Chosen one, there is a weight to this crown. It is not ornamental, it is functional. Crowns are not only symbols of royalty, but also of responsibility. You will carry others now. Lift them when they cannot lift themselves. You will speak words that unlock hearts, not through eloquence, but through empathy. The authority you hold comes from authenticity. Your scars have become your credentials. You will soon notice that your voice carries an unfamiliar gravity. What you bless will prosper. What you release will rise, and what you declare will stand. This is not magic, it is manifestation of maturity. The authority that once felt external now flows from within. You no longer pray for power, you have become the vessel of it. The release of your life will not come with noise, but with impact. Your crown is invisible to the world, but undeniable to heaven. Angels recognize it, darkness respects it, and creation rejoices under it. You have stepped into the rhythm of divine governance, the gentle rule of one who knows that true kingship is servanthood. Chosen one, from this point forward, you will walk differently. Peace will be your scepter, humility your throne. You will no longer measure days by outcomes, but by obedience. Success will no longer intoxicate you, and failure will no longer define you. You are anchored now, unshaken by praise or rejection alike. The same stillness that crowned you will sustain you. The earth has shifted under your steps because heaven has declared you steady. You are the embodiment of quiet victory, a living prophecy fulfilled, a testament that those who wait on the Lord never wait in vain. The race was long, the fire fierce, the silence heavy, but the crown fits perfectly. You are walking into new lands, not as a wanderer, but as a bearer of light. What you carry now is not a burden, but a beacon. Others will find direction through the glow of your peace. You will guide without grasping, heal without boasting, build without demanding credit. This is what it means to reign with Christ, to lead through love. Chosen one, you have finished one chapter of becoming and stepped into the chapter of being. Heaven no longer calls you student or servant, but steward and heir. You are crowned not for comfort, but for commission to reveal what divine love looks like when lived through human hands. Carry your crown lightly, but never doubt its reality. It was forged in fire, tempered in tears, and anointed in silence. It is not removable, because it was never external. It rests within you, the unshakable awareness that you belong wholly to the one who called you. And as you walk from here, may your every breath declare what heaven already sings: the battle is finished, the faith is kept, and the crown endures forever. Chosen one, if these words have walked beside you, if they have reminded you of what heaven has whispered all along, that you were never overlooked, never forgotten, never ordinary, then let your heart breathe in gratitude. You have reached the end of this message, but not the end of your becoming. Every section was written like a step in a staircase, leading you closer to the awareness of who you already are: chosen, crowned, and commissioned. Let this moment linger. Don't rush past it. If something in your spirit stirred, if a quiet yes rose from within, honor that feeling. It is heaven's way of saying, this was for you. And if it was, then let the echo continue. Carry it forward. When you like this message, it is more than a button, it is a beacon. It tells the algorithms of this world that light still matters, that truth still speaks. When you share, you become a messenger, a carrier of the same flame that once found you in the dark. Someone else is waiting for a word that reminds them they are not forgotten. If you feel led, Subscribe so we can walk together through the next revelations heaven will unfold. This space was never meant to be a performance, it's a sanctuary. A meeting place between spirit and story. And as you leave your comment, let it not just be words, but witness. Tell what line touched you, what sentence you felt was written for you. Your story will strengthen another soul who scrolls by. Chosen one, thank you for walking this journey. The light within you is seen. The crown you carry is real. Keep shining quietly, and let heaven's message keep spreading through you.